Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Should You Play with me, Striker HD, and in today's episode we're going to take a look at the newly released indie game Banished. First of all, if you're not familiar with my series, I'll start off giving a bit of the background on the game, the developer, things like that, and then go through the options, and then we'll get to gameplay. I'll put an option to skip to gameplay and an annotation, so if you can't be bothered to listen to the rest of it, then go ahead and do that. And without further ado, here we go. So, amazingly enough, this game is developed by one man. And no, that's not his name. That is actually developed by one man. And his development and publishing studio that he's obviously made himself is called Shining Rock Software. And he made this over the course of 2 years, which is very impressive, especially as you see how well the game actually works compared to something like SimCity, which, you know, had millions and millions pumped into it. But that's a different discussion for another day. So, let's have a look at the options quick. So if we start off with the game options, the options menu is very nice. You've got everything you could ask for, really. You've got things like edge scrolling, where some people find it annoying because the mouse ends up over here and it just keeps going to the right. So you turn that on and off. Mouse to window. Services temperatures. I actually do want that because I was wondering whether it isn't there. But anyway, and then you got weather effects as well. If you don't like it to obscure things, I really like them, so that's personal preference. And then you got things like the autosave timer. I mean, look at how many options it gives you. And then the how transparent the actual boxes that come up are, as well as the interface scale, which is very nice for me because I'm actually playing it at 1440p, meaning everything is pretty tiny. So it kind of had to strain my eyes. So I thought, oh, I'll hop into the menu and see if they got one of these. And by Joseph, they did. So that's rather fantastic. Then in the video options, you've got more than most AAA games, to be honest. You can put it from DirectX 9 to DirectX 11, and I'm pretty sure this game would run on anything, any kind of laptop. Just, it's brilliant. And then you can see all the resolution options, as many as you could probably ask for. They got most of the main ones there, as well as VSync, full screen, 3 anti-aliasing options, which is also nice. A lot of games just have on and off, which is dumb. And then texture filtering. It has these. I've never even seen 1 times and then 2 times. Well, I've seen 2 times, that's a lie. But 1 times and 14 times is good. The fact he put these in. And then shadow resolution. As I said, if you wanted to run this on a low-end laptop, you probably could, because you just whack them down. And then reflections as well. And audio. Again, more options than most AAA games. You can alter these separately. And then the input, rebind keys. Yay, good PC game. Then you got tutorials and achievements. Tutorials I won't actually go into one because last time it messed up my recording. And yes, this is the second time I tried to do this, which is joyous. But basically, they're pretty good. There's only 4, as you can see, but they're pretty in-depth. They require a lot of reading, but at the same time, I don't mind it at all because you got to read the panel, but then you also, it puts you into a scenario. So actually into like a pre-built city. And yeah, you basically go through the instructions. It says do this to do this, and you follow it, and it's pretty good. Pretty good. And then, like I said, achievements, and then new and load. So, we'll start a new one. So this is what happens when you press new. You get a map seed randomly generated, or you type in your own, obviously. A random town name. We got Viden. You obviously edit that as well. And then you can have valleys or mountains. Mountains, I believe, would just be more challenging because you'd just have to use more tunnels. But, you know, if you want to pretend you're up in Scotland or in Wales, it's your choice. So there we go. And then terrain size. Small is pretty big. Sorry, I haven't actually tried large. I imagine it's huge. Climate, you can have it horrible if you want to kill yourself. And then disasters on and off. That's things like fires. And then starting conditions. They're basically the difficulty levels. As you see here, I have it on medium. It's a moderate game with 5 families. You get 1 less on the hard one. Clothing, food, firewood, tools, and construction materials, as well as seeds and a barn. So some pre-built things, not much. If I just quickly go to hard, then you see you get pretty much nothing, which means it's a lot more difficult to survive the first winter. And I'll show you easy quick, which brings me on to what this game is all about, really. And a lot of people would class it as a city builder. And yes, it kind of is, but more of a town/village builder if you want to be specific, because you're not going to build massive cities like in Anno or in SimCity, like I mentioned before. As you will see when I start this off, then they're pretty small, and it's up to you to expand how you wish. So look at this. It's rather lovely, isn't it? And it's already snowing, so you can see some of the weather effects here. But basically, it's more of a survival game, to be honest. The main objective, because there isn't, like in SimCity, again, you get objectives, in Anno you get objectives. There isn't any, really. Your objective is to survive, to care for your people, to keep their health up, to keep their happiness up. And you do that by monitoring things like this. So up here, you got their health, and you also have their happiness. And then you can get this one up. Those are the three I usually get up, are these three. So I'll just plonk them over there. As you can see, just click and drag them. And I got the screen scrolling, which I probably shouldn't. And yeah, so you got event log. That's pretty self-explanatory. And then the professions. Everyone at the moment is a labourer, because we have no specific buildings to use. I'm actually going to pause the game for a minute. Because last time I did this, I didn't pause it, and everyone ended up dying, because that's how quickly you got to pay attention. So currently, we're in early spring. So it's starting to get warm. As you see, it's -1, and that's in degrees Celsius now. So it's pretty damn cold, but that'll start to warm up. And obviously, again, with it being more of a survival game, the temperature makes a huge difference. Because these guys, as you can currently see, don't have any kind of winter coats or anything. They don't even have a house at the moment. So they would die if they were in the cold for too long. And then you've also got your supplies and your average happiness. So, what do you do first? Well, basically, you press play. And it's quite important, get some roads down. It allows the people to travel at a better pace. And yeah, we'll just extend that down there. And as I say, guys, this is a first impression series. So I will just be doing some of the basics. And one of the main things you want to do is this one here, which is basically to remove anything. But it's really good in the options. Again, with most things in this game, the options are fantastic. It's got everything you need, and no more or no less. So you can remove structures specifically. So as you can see there, if I did that, it would remove them. Right click to cancel as in most games. Or you can just remove resources, which we want to do because we're just starting off. So if we just highlight all of these there, we can get some wood. And then all the labourers will go off and cut down these trees. And then they'll put them in the stockpile here, which is another thing you probably want to do to start with. If you go on to storage, you got here stockpile. You just drag it there. Probably do a smaller one because we don't have too much space. Plonk that there, and then you can store things. Each building has its own inventory, as you'll see with the houses a bit later. So here you can see what we got in there: tools, potatoes, and other things. And it tells you how full they are. Lots of useful information. So what we're going to do is we're going to gather the resources first. I'll let everyone get onto that. Then we're going to allocate some builders. So basically you've got your 10 labourers. Everyone's a labourer by default once they turn to an adult. Children just eat food and are generally annoying. So really you want people to age quite quick and become adults. And as you can tell by the game, and by the style with the buildings and things, as you saw in the menu, it's very medieval era. Probably somewhere in Europe, judging by the weather and the actual buildings. And yeah, it's pretty. Actually, talk about pretty. Well, I get stuck on my words. Graphics. Now, as you saw, they did have a lot of options, which is good. It means it'll run on anything. Textures-wise, it's good enough. You got to remember, this is an indie game, and I'll go through the prices a bit later, because there's also an option to buy on the Humble Store, and you save money, and it goes to charity. So I'll mention that at the end of the video, and hopefully you stick around for that. Or it'll be in the description if you don't want to. So yeah, as you can see, they're a bit murky, but they're pretty good. They're games published by huge publishers out there that don't look as good as this. Here you see the trees again. It's satisfactory. Shadows look pretty good. The trees sway. there's little details, and the people don't look fantastic. They kind of look like Sims, but again, as with everything in this game, it's good enough. It works, and that's all you need to have a good time, really. So they finished getting resources, so we're going to quickly get a bit more because we need some stone. So we'll just get them to do that bit before they go wandering off and get eaten by a wolf. And while we are doing that, we're going to get some more roads. So yeah, again, I'm just going to show you the basics. Nothing fancy. Plonk a road down there. Now, this is the one thing that a lot of people will dislike about the game. When you've got things like SimCity, you have literally hundreds of buildings you can produce and build, and you have various variations. There's just a plethora of upgrades and different building types and things you can do, which a lot of people enjoy. However, it does mean half of them don't work, as we know. And I do love SimCity, so before you hate on me. But anyway. And in this game, it's a bit different. And for example, in the houses, you have a wooden house, you have a stone house, and then you have a boarding house, which is basically for the homeless. And that is it. There's no tech tree, there's no progression, and like I say, for some, that's going to be a big problem because we're so hammered by progression and, you know, like loadouts in first-person shooters. Every single game has a progression system now to unlock things. And I know this is an RTS simulation survival city builder, but people like progression, and some are going to have a problem with that. However, it's different, and for a survival game like this, it works. As you'll see, the music is relaxing and lovely, and the game in general to start with is very relaxing and quite soothing. However, especially as it's based in the time it is, things can go bad very quickly. Things like disease, and fires, and food shortage, and winters, very harsh winters, early winters, that prevent your crops from being harvested efficiently. Things like that can really screw you over. Probably won't see much of that in this video, purely because I don't want to make it too long, but believe me, things like that happen, and they're not much fun. So I'm going to speed it up quick, just for the purpose of the video. There's not many times where you're actually going to want to speed it up. As I said, bad things happen, and that just means they happen quicker. It does go up to 10 times speed, so if you do want to blast along, maybe you've got a really good city going, then you can do that if you wish. So again, I'm just gonna another road there, so we can do some more houses and stuffs, and then I'll show you the other options while we're doing that. I'll slow it down a bit while I'm talking. So, as I said, roads and bridges, dirt road, stone road, 2 options again. However, again, with the tooltips, as you'll notice through all of this, and I'll mention them a few times, they are really helpful. It tells you stone road, so you can press 2 to select it if you want. And it gives you a definition, so it provides a much faster travel for citizens. It could just say, provides travel for citizens, but you don't know whether it's faster than a dirt road. You could assume, but you wouldn't know. So, and then you got a bridge and a tunnel. Again, with the tunnel, it says move through mountains. So that's the thing. If you chose that mountain environment, as you can see here, it's quite flat. But if you chose mountain, then I don't have any builders, do I? But this is a good point in time to up that to 5. Get everyone doing the building. And yeah, if you have mountains, you would use that. Same with all these. Storage barn, market, trading post. Trading post actually allows merchants from other cities to come along, and you can trade with them for things like seeds and cattle, things you otherwise can't get yourself. So that's a very important mechanic. We'll get a well, and this is basically, there is no, as far as I can tell anyway, there is no water mechanic. Like, your people, as long as they're well fed and clothed and homed, that's fine. And I apologise for my dog barking in the background, the garbage bin just came. Ironically, one of them is my uncle, so good story there. Anyway, just wait for her to shush. Eventually, possibly, maybe. Yeah, right. And then again, example of useful tooltips. you've got things like a schoolhouse. Now you assume this would educate your citizens, but you might not know what that would then in turn benefit you, in which way. So it says used to educate citizens to be more productive. So again, tooltips. Very useful. I very much appreciate that. And if we click on one of these houses, again, as I mentioned, you've got the occupants, you've got their ages, which tend to be quite worrying. But I do believe this doesn't necessarily mean they are the parents. Sorry, voice gone. Because, yeah, as you can see, it would just be weird. So we'll ignore that. And then once they get food and things, they gather it from the hut. There we go. Potatoes in there. So, the other very, very important thing, food. We want crop foods. We most definitely want crop foods. Let's get a nice big one here. As big as we can get. Why not? I haven't done one this big before. So as you can see, obviously food is very important. Citizens are going to starve, I think. And they do blaze through it. So when you get this, you see this weird little circle thing. You're wondering what's that? Well, it says workers disabled at this location, because with a crop field and orchards and things like that, there are different options on what seeds you can plant. Now, as you saw, I was on medium difficulty, so I got a couple of seeds which are randomly generated. I've had things like beans before and cabbage, I believe. So yeah, you choose one of these. So we'll just go with corn for now. Now this is, you can toggle them to work it on and off, because in winter you don't want anyone working it, because because they're not going to actually grow anything. So currently there are 0 of what can be 3 people who can actually work on this farm, because we don't have any farmers. So if we go over here, where am I even looking? There, farmers. We're going to up that all the way to 3, and we'll get those 3. As you see here, you've got 3 of 3 working on that one. So here you can directly up or reduce farmers, and on this one you can choose how many of those farmers are allocated to that specific farm. So there we go, hopefully they get on that. And you can also see the yield, and you can get them to manually harvest it, or they'll do it in autumn. I'll show you quick what happens when you click on a person. There you go. So her name is Jenny, which is pretty standard. She's 15, she's carrying a pickaxe, she is a builder. She's clearly a boss. It says things like their gender, whether they're educated, what they're actually doing, the tool they're using, and then they have their own inventory, which I think might only happen if they get coats, because they clearly have no pockets at the moment, which isn't most good. Up here, it's telling me that it comes up with little images, as you can see on these people. It tells me that 5 of the citizens aren't home. So, as much as I don't like to get more houses, because it means they have funky time and they have children, I'm going to have to. That should be enough. 2 should be. So it says firewood is low, so we're going to go to this one. And as I said, there's loads of different options. So you've got specifically harvest trees, stone, collect iron, or remove ropes. So we need some firewood. Always need some firewood. So we're just going to go for the bit behind here, I think. Go for those ones. Get all that. That will be in storage. You see now we're in late spring. Time goes pretty quick, even on 1 times. And you really want to prepare for the first winter. On medium, you can pretty much get through it with 1 field, some houses, and just enough firewood. But the second time round, as I said in my last recording, it doesn't feel good. And you see here, look, we've got some little cruppies. 0% yield. Yeah. Hopefully that goes up. So, reduce the builders to 4. So you basically have to keep an eye on this, because if you add 10 builders, but you weren't actually building anything, they're just going to stand around doing nothing without any jobs. As it says up here, it says there's no jobs for these 2 people because they're farmers, and I don't have another field for them to do anything on. It's kind of dumb for me to do, so I shall reduce that back to 3. I actually need to increase the size of my UI again. It's kind of annoying me. But yeah. And then you get things like completion rating, the resources needed. But anyway guys, as I said, it is more of a survival game, and there is a very fine balance required for you to survive. The balance between things like resource gathering, to have enough firewood, to have enough stone, to then build the buildings you need to get the food, to get the medicine. There is things like hospitals and herbalists to produce medicine. You also got things like, if I go to this one, town services, as I said, there's a hospital. You got things like town hall and religious buildings as well. And then obviously education, make your workers work more efficiently. And then, different types of food I'll quickly show you. You got a pasture. Once you get some cattle, that is a pretty good resource right there. And then you got a fishing dock, which you can just plonk down. And I'm just using R to rotate, by the way. So I mean, we might as well put that down there, because we're going to run out of food at some point. So because of that, I'm just going to up the builders. Labourers are still important when you're doing buildings, because they actually move things around. Good. Can't do that. I knew I wasn't going to be able to do that, which kind of screws me, and I'll explain why, because this is another mechanic of the game. Whereabouts is it? Bear with me a second. There we go, paths. So this is in the kind of tools and reports, as they call it. So with this tool, if you click on a house, you will see that someone clearly works as preserving food is low. As a farmer, so this is the path they take to get to work. They're not actually using the road because they kind of like to go the short way, even though it then take longer in theory. And then also someone is a builder, I believe, because they're going to the fisherman's place to help build it. So if these are too long and people have to go too far to their workplace, then they're not going to work as efficient. And this is bad. I believe that means they're very cold. Huh. See, we definitely need this fishing dock produced. Because luckily that, even though we've only got a tiny river there, and I probably should have put it out here, but I'm dumb. Then that gets to bring quite a consistent amount of fishies for food. And everybody is cold. Huh. As you see, my health has already gone down. It's a challenging game, guys. I'm not gonna lie. It's very difficult. And that also brings me on to the end game of the game. Things like SimCity, they don't really have an end game. You can obviously go bankrupt. Things like disasters happen and you can just fail miserably. But it's pretty difficult to do. And there's also no end goal in terms of end objective. You basically either go bankrupt or you give up because you've got a nice city and you don't want to do it anymore. But with this game, there's pretty much two end games. You die and you try your best to keep your civilization alive, but in the end an early winter overcomes you, disease spreads, fires demolish buildings, etc. Or maybe you just get bored, and again, that could be another problem for a lot of people, as there is no, in theory, end goal, no end objective besides survival. People will get bored with it. Personally, I love it. I'll keep coming back to it. You keep trying again, even if you just restart a new time, then you learn more as you go. But I thought I'd better mention that anyway. So overall, this game, as you can clearly see, it has very simple mechanics. It has very simple options in terms of structures and what you can actually do in the game, unlike the other ones I mentioned. However, it's quite refreshing because a lot are very complicated. Anyone can get into this game. As I say, you learn as you go. And you can also do things like, if you get a town hall, this actually is used to record and show census data, which is very useful because you can see the harvest from last year. You can learn from that, so that does give it more depth to the game. But overall, it's a very simple game. Which brings me on to the price. Now, if it was £40, a lot of people would have a problem with it. However, it's not. On Steam it is £14.99, and you can buy it as of today, or a couple of weeks ago even, but you know what I mean. I'll leave a link in the description for that. However, this is a public service announcement, and I highly recommend you guys go over to the Humble store and have a look on there, because it is, I believe, $11.99, and 10% of that purchase will go to charity. The only downside to it is it won't run through Steam, it won't run through an external client, which some people might not be too happy with, but it's for charity and you save yourself some money. So I highly recommend hopping over there. I'll leave a link in the description. That's where I got this from. It runs perfectly fine through the external client, and it is rather fantastic. And my parting words for this game, as I speed up time so you can see more interesting things happen, would be, it's got simple mechanics, and it is a simple game, but it's very hard to master, and there's a lot of longevity in actually conquering Banished as a survival city builder. And because of that, because I personally enjoy it, I personally say, in my personal opinion, that you very much should buy Banished, and definitely should give it a go. Support the guy, he's made a fine game, and I'd love to see some of your videos. So if you make one, hit me up with a message and I'll happily watch it and see you be better than me. I add some fishermen so we can get some foods. And that can have a total of 4, so we're going to plonk 4 fishermen. They're going to come over, they're going to do some fishing. It's going to be fantastic. And a child named Errol was born. Yeah, get them fishes. Get them fishes. 71% yield. Summer. We have to cut that soon. Please give it a shot. And it should be go look at the animals. Oh, guys are running away. Oh, they are not affected by the laws of physics. Well, there we go. You can hunt them, by the way, if you're a soulless bastard. But yes, you should buy it. You should play it. You should. Okay. So and we'll see you next time. Thank you for joining me. Leave a like or a dislike. Or Briand has become an adult and is working as a labourer. So that's news. Better than most of the news that's on the actual news. But anyway, see you later. Bye.